Geno King Boxing back in the building, back with some more boxing news. Yes, we back at it, talking about this mega fight coming up September 13th, Terrance Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. And my question of the day is, can Terrance Bud Crawford beat Canelo Alvarez like how he did Errol Spence Jr.? Can he do Canelo like how he did Errol Spence? My answer to that is, I don't think he can. No. Do I think Crawford can beat Canelo? Yes, I think he can beat Canelo. I think he's gonna beat Canelo, but it's gonna look a lot different than when he beat Errol Spence Jr. First of all, Errol Spence, great pressure fighter. Before he fought Terrance Bud Crawford. But Errol Spence didn't have a lot of tools in the toolbox. Let's be honest. Bud Crawford exposed that. That's really all Errol Spence had was pressure. He was a step to you fighter, and Crawford used his jab to keep Errol Spence at bay. Every time Errol Spence came in to put his pressure on Terrance Crawford, he was met with a stiff jab that knocked Errol Spence back and got Errol Spence's respect ASAP. As soon as the first round started, Crawford hit Errol with a couple of jabs that caught his attention. I think from there on, Errol knew that this was going to be a long, long fight for him. And his defense wasn't up to par at all. And one thing about Canelo Alvarez, two things he has over Errol Spence. He hits harder than Errol Spence, and his defense is better. And he's a better boxer than Errol Spence, and he has a lot more tools in the toolbox than Errol Spence. Canelo Alvarez, yes, he does. Canelo can box, even though we haven't seen it on display in a lot of his fights recently. Canelo can box. He's a damn good boxer. His jab isn't good. His jab is good against certain fighters, but his jab isn't good against certain fighters. His jab wasn't good against William Skull. His jab isn't good against guys that move around a lot, from what I've seen out of Canelo Alvarez. So that right there, he has that over Errol Spence. Errol was like I said, he didn't have a lot. He didn't have a lot of things going for him, but what he did have going for him was the pressure step to you kind of style, and he was great at that. Not taking nothing away from Errol, but it's not gonna look like the Errol Spence fight. Crawford is gonna have to be a little bit more trickier in this fight. He's gonna have to do a lot more moving around. He's gonna have to do a lot of switching up in this fight, to keep Canelo Alvarez at bay and to keep fooling Canelo Alvarez, setting up traps. He's gonna have to use his jab. He's gonna have to use combination punches on the inside when he gets up close to Canelo Alvarez. He's gonna have to do a lot of in and out movement with Canelo Alvarez. Something we seen against Errol, but it wasn't a lot. But Crawford stayed in the pocket with Errol and punished him. He stayed right there because he didn't respect Errol's power. We heard him in the interview say that, man, when he started getting hit by Errol, like, man, this is what this is nothing, and it's going to be a little bit different this fight because we all know Canelo Alvarez has the power to put anybody down. And he definitely has power to put Bud Crawford down if he hits him. No mistaking about that. But Bud Crawford's defense is going to have to be on A1, on point this fight. I think that's why Floyd Mayweather was so successful with Canelo Alvarez, because his defense was on point. Canelo never really hit Floyd with nothing flush that whole fight. That's why it was so easy for Floyd. And I'm not going to say it was easy. I know Floyd had to really focus to make sure he didn't get hit with anything from Canelo. Same thing with Bivol. Bivol was in and out of the fight a lot. In and step back out. Punish Canelo, step back out. Punish him, step back out. So Crawford is going to have to use a lot of that to really keep Canelo at bay this fight. Canelo's going to do a lot of arm hitting, something Errol Spence didn't do. It seemed like as soon as Errol stepped in and got hit with that jab, it was just like, the next flurry of punches from Crawford after he got hit with that jab was just like devastating. And that's not going to happen with Canelo. Canelo might get hit with that jab. Canelo's going to keep walking forward until he gets hit with maybe a few of those to get his attention. And that's what Crawford is going to have to focus on. And he's going to have to keep his defense on point too to make sure he doesn't get hit with that left or that right hook from Canelo. Going to be doing a lot of thinking in that fight, and vice versa. Canelo's going to be doing a lot of thinking also, so. And every time Canelo throws that left hook, Crawford's going to have to make him pay to get he's going to have to. He's going to have to hit Canelo early on in the fight with something special, something hot to get his respect. And, get that respect early. Very, very important for Crawford. If he doesn't get his respect by that first 2-3 rounds, Canelo is going to keep walking him down until he does. And Canelo's not going to stop. We seen he didn't stop with Bivol. Bivol backed him up, no doubt. He respected Bivol after a while, but the whole fight, he kept coming. Canelo's a tough dude with a hard chin. That's why I say it's going to look a lot different from the Errol Spence fight. Errol looked like a shell of himself, even though he did come off 2 great victories against Ugas and Danny Garcia. Nobody said anything about the accident, but yeah, sometimes it's just the guy you're fighting. All the excuses everybody made for Errol about the car wreck could possibly be true, but y'all wasn't saying that after he fought Ugas and Danny Garcia. So, it's going to be very interesting. That's my opinion on the fight and what I think Bud Crawford's going to have to do to beat Canelo. It's going to be a lot harder than the Errol Spence fight. Y'all let me know what y'all think. This is Gino King Boxing. Y'all press that subscribe button, press that like button, and I'm out.